For it to be young college kids, why would you target them?
Investigators search for a suspect and the murder weapon in the vicious killings of 4 college students in Moscow, Idaho.
The killer still remains at large, and that has left a real sense of fear.
It's scary being here, and it doesn't feel like home anymore. It doesn't feel as safe.
The person might have targeted the home because there were all girls that lived at the home.
Are you going to catch this killer?
We are doing everything we can.
It could be any student house in the remote town of Moscow, Idaho. The young women living there would throw parties or gather round a fire pit on the patio. Their lives documented on social media. But 4 weeks ago, this student idyll was shattered. 3 of the housemates, Kaylee Goncalves, Maddie Mogen and Xana Kernodle, and Xana's boyfriend Ethan Chapin, were brutally murdered. As they slept in bed in the early hours of a Sunday morning, they were stabbed to death with a large knife, leaving their rooms blood-splattered. There are no witnesses, nobody even reporting hearing screams. There was no sign of forced entry at this house and no evidence that any of the victims had been sexually assaulted. More than 4 weeks on, there's no murder weapon and no suspect. It's a crime that's not only dumbfounded police, it's mystified America. At its centre is a small town police force which hadn't had a murder for more than 7 years.
You can feel the weight of what's happened as you walk through town, and it's hard to say if or when it will ever be the same.
Are you going to catch this killer or killers?
We are doing everything we can. And part of that is to be sure we're going through all the evidence. It's vast. There's pictures, emails, phone calls coming in. We have to look through everything to make sure we have everything we need to make an arrest and also take this to court and be successful in finding justice.
You want a conviction as well as an arrest then?
Yes, we can't afford a mistake. We can't afford to put out information that might compromise anything we're doing with the investigation.
Even usually joyful occasions in Moscow are now coloured by loss. Victim Kaylee Goncalves was supposed to be graduating this weekend. This is a university and a town terrorised by a killer on the loose. Are you feeling safe?
Not at all, no. I have like pepper spray and I have different kind of self-help things, but it's scary. It's scary being here, and it doesn't feel like home anymore. It doesn't feel as safe. I knew 2 of the girls from middle school, and then I tutored Ethan for a little bit. I knew them, thinking about them always. I have like the bracelet for him right now, wore it to graduation. Oh, wow. Just thinking about him, but it's been tough being here. Ethan like lit up a room when he went into it. He was just always smiling, so happy, so funny. Yeah, I'm just so lucky I got to know them.
Trevor Adkins' daughter Katie lives down the street from where the murders happened.
I just put myself in their shoes and it just makes me sick to my stomach. And those sweet girls.
For young women particularly walking home in the dark here, I can't imagine how that feels at the moment.
Yeah, it's pretty terrifying. And when we checked into the Airbnb, I was scared to death and made my husband like check under the bed. And I'm like a 43-year-old woman and I couldn't believe it. And I got in there and the windows weren't locked and it just paralyzed me. And so I shut all the windows and I closed the curtains. And I checked under everywhere.
One of the many unknowns pervading this case is why the 3-storey house or its occupants were targeted and why some were left alive. On the first floor, Xana and her boyfriend Ethan, who were sharing a bed, were killed. On the second floor, Kaylee and lifelong best friend Maddie, also sharing a bed, were murdered. 2 other female housemates in ground floor bedrooms say they slept through the attacks. When they woke, they summoned other friends to the house, believing one housemate to be unconscious. Police have ruled them out as suspects.
Why would you target these kids? Why would you do that?
Troy Lambert is a crime writer. His stepson lives in the apartments overlooking the murder house. Did he say he heard anything on the
No,
night?
he was working that night, so he wasn't home until
late, and then of course him and his roommate do gaming and stuff like that, so they didn't hear anything either. I mean, with the density of students in this area, that is kind of surprising that nobody heard anything.
Have you got any theories?
Well, my only theory is that it was someone organized who knew what they were doing and knew them. The biggest question is motive. First of all, like, who was it? How close within their circle were they? And then what was their motive for doing it? I mean, to kids, for it to be young college kids who have no what I would consider no enemies, really, like, why would you target them?
Investigators say they're busy piecing together not just what happened inside the house, but the hours leading up to the murders. Maddie and Kaylee had spent the night at this bar, just off the main street in Moscow, leaving at 1 a.m. to walk to a nearby food truck.
I think I would like the...
Kaylee can be heard ordering. There then appears to be a dispute with a man in a hoodie. At one point, Maddie gestures towards him. Police say they've discounted this man as a suspect. Kaylee Goncalves' family, frustrated with the lack of information from the police, have recruited a lawyer to push for answers.
I don't think that the family believes that there was an individual target on their daughter. It just doesn't make sense with the facts that have been presented and other information that we've gathered. The person might have targeted the home because there were all girls that lived at the home. And it was a house that a lot of people came and went in. A very social scene that the girls were involved with, and they were sororities in a sorority and things like that.
Mystery also surrounds the whereabouts of the other two victims the night before the murders. This is the Sigma Chi fraternity house with the Greek lettering. Xana and Ethan were here between 8 and 9 p.m. the evening before the murders. It's less than a 5-minute walk from the house where they were killed, yet they didn't return here until 1:45 a.m. Police are now trying to account for those missing 5 hours. There are so many unknowns in a community desperate for answers. 4 families now approaching Christmas, not knowing why their lives were suddenly and violently ripped apart. Or by whom? Martha Kellner, Sky News, Idaho.